Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard and this is Lap of the World, your home for road trips and racetracks. And that is a directive we will eventually get back to, but for now, you join me for part 7 of my NSX Major Service series. We've been tackling water pump, timing belt, and several other items on my 289,000 mile 1992 NSX back here. This series has been sponsored in part by ATR. NSX-parts.com for exactly what that URL implies. Give them a look, link in the description. But we thank them for their support. What we're going to be getting into today, first of all, if you missed the last video, part 6, kind of had the crux of the job in it. That's where we actually installed the new timing belt, tensioned it properly, and pressure tested our water pump installation to make sure that that was sound. All being good there, though, we are now ready to kind of start looking toward reassembly at this point. But before I go buttoning everything back up, while I still have the valve covers off the car, I wanted to check the valve clearances and do a valve adjustment if needed. If it's not needed, I will kind of at least discuss the thing at a high level and then link to some other places where people have actually done that. If they do need adjusting, then you will see how that happens. But that's the first thing we're going to do, is we're going to pop over to the back of the car and check some clearances. Couple of quick things in the manual before we go over and start inspecting things. One, you're going to want to do this on a cold engine. I don't think that'll be probably a concern for most people. I don't think most of us shade tree mechanics are not fast enough to park the car and yank the valve covers off before it's actually cooled down to less than 100 F. Either not fast enough or not inclined to be fast enough to get in there and burn your hands on everything. And then they also have over here, they specify the there are different tolerances for the intake and the exhaust cam, so pay attention to those. And you do want to look at this before you start the job or before you consider starting the job, and make sure that you have feeler gauges that have the appropriate ranges of thickness. All right, folks, so having moved to the back of the car, we can first verify that our engine is where we left it. Have it set to number one cylinder, top dead center, which means we can go back here and start checking clearances on the rightmost rear bank cylinder. To accomplish the checking of the clearances, we have some feeler gauges here. These are very, very thin metal strips, basically calibrated metal strips to certain thicknesses that you're going to try and jam in between the, the rockers and the cams. We are primarily interested in these two middle thicknesses of 0.006 and 0.007 inches, or 0.15 to 0.18 millimeters. The manual does fudge a little bit here in that it's the upper limit of the gap is 0.19 millimeters, but our gauges here skip from 0.18 to, I can't focus on that, but that is 0.20. So we don't have a 0.19. But I figure if I'm splitting hairs and this one fits, but this one doesn't, then we are probably somewhere approaching close to spec. And then I have the 0.005 or 0.13 millimeters pulled out here just in case. So if this one doesn't fit, and I can check with this one just to see how close it might be. But we're going to start with those two middle ones. And see where we get from there. So in checking these, we're going to start with I'll start with this near side first, and I'm just going to start with the thicker, or the thickest one that I have. So this is 0.007 inches or 0.018 millimeters. And we'll see if that's going to fit. That does not want to fit there, and then I'll check the other one while I'm here. Also does not want to really fit between there either. The other thing you can do while you're here, if I can get a finger down there where you can still see what I'm doing, is I'm going to wiggle see if I can wiggle the middle, which the middle cam is the VTEC cam. So I can wiggle that that rocker wiggles independent of the other two, which is what you want to check and make sure that that actuates freely, and this does in this case. All right, so the 0.007 inches didn't fit. Let's blade down here to the 0.006 millimeter and see if that goes. It feels like it's close. And again, you can see where I'm shoving that, all right? Check this other one as well while we're here. That one didn't seem to want to go. Okay, so that doesn't want to go. I'm going to go ahead and check the one that's smaller than that. So this is 0.005 millimeters, or okay, so that one goes, and that's probably, so it's probably, it's tighter than that, or the gap is bigger than that, but not quite big enough. So it's probably 0.14 millimeters, I would guess. This one, the near side, definitely a little bit more stubborn. But it does go in that one as well, just with a little extra encouragement. So both of these are, I believe, what you would call a little bit tight, which means, hey, you get to see what a valve adjustment looks like. Special tool alert. To accomplish this, you're going to want one of these things, or a version thereof. I actually think I found probably a better version of this that doesn't require modification to do the job. But what this allows you to do is kind of with one tool, you have your 10 millimeter socket end here, and then you have a screwdriver that slots down the middle of that. And I'll show you why that's important in a second. But to do this with the engine in the car on the NSX, this tool is too big, so we need to do a little bit of modification. Okay, so with our special tool in hand, what you're doing in essence is you're going to break loose this outer nut while using this inner screw to do the actual adjustment. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, both for the adjustment and the lock nut. So we're going to get our little guy in here in place. Okay, and then we're going to see our screwdriver is slotted in there, and then we're going to loosen our adjuster bolt. Okay, so our adjuster bolt is loose, and the goal is you're trying not to move the top adjuster while you're doing the bottom adjuster. So I'm going to back this guy off just a little bit, snug him back down. And apparently I'm told, I'm going to experience this for myself here, that a little bit of adjustment goes a long way. And you do want to have your, I folded mine back up like an idiot, but you do want to have your feeler gauges handy. So I'm going to go back with the 0.06. It still does not fit. So let's try this again. Okay, so now we're going to do, are we in the thing? Yeah, okay, then now we're in the groove. Okay, so I'm going to loosen this guy again. Loosen this guy again. And then we're going to back him off a little bit more, and then we want to hold this adjustment. Or snug up our lock nut again a little bit, being very careful to hold these screwdriver portions still so our adjustment doesn't change. Then we're going to extract our tool, or rather extract that tool, and then we're going to check with our, we're going to go back and check again. All right, so this is going to be, start with my, since this one was tight, let's start with the 0.006 inch. Yeah, that appears to now go in there and pull out with some resistance. We'll try the 0.007 inch, 0.18 mil. That does not want to go in, so that's okay. So we are, we appear to be within spec there. So we are between 0.006 and 0.007, 0.006, 0.007 inches. 0.15 and 0.18. millimeters, which should be right in the well, we're on the tight end of the adjustment, but still not definitely looser than it was. And then of course you do want to go back and torque down the lock nut on your adjuster to 14 foot-pounds. Once you've done that torquing, you then want to go back one last time and double check that your clearances haven't moved with your application of torque there. Now I just need to go and rinse and repeat that for 35 more valves. Fun. But don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch that. This may be one of the shorter videos in the series, but this is where we're going to leave it there. That is definitely a whole day's worth of work, and we'll get back out here in probably the rest of this evening and in coming days and take care of that myself. But for this session, we've demonstrated how to do it. You just need to rinse and repeat for the rest of them with the acknowledged fun and entertainment of getting visual access to the exhaust valves on both banks, which require a little bit more of a reach, and that is really the reason that we needed to modify our tool to shorten it. We needed to shorten this guy in order to get to that rear exhaust bank with the trunk bulkhead in the way, or trunk firewall in the way. So, with us leaving it there, what can you expect next time? Probably starting back on some reassembly. We're going to be putting the, we got the timing covers to go back on. That's kind of acknowledged as being something of a cantankerous task. Then we'll be, I'm probably going to gloss over a lot of the general reassembly. At some point we will get our valve covers back in whatever color I decided to go with based on opinions, including my own. And then eventually we'll have this thing back together. We've still got to look at we get to get results then. So we'll have the results of my, to see if my CV joint alignment actually fixed the little vibration I was feeling, and some other stuff too that I haven't actually disclosed yet. But we'll get to all of that in future videos. For now, thanks for watching. Again, check out our sponsor, NSXparts.com. Link in the description. But until next time, thanks again. I'm Richard. This is Lap of the World, and I will see you all in the next video, if not at the track.